Alright, guys, welcome back. Let's get into analysing my team and how I went this week. So we actually ended up with a 964, which was okay. I had a few mishaps in there, things like Starling as a clear one. Thankfully, I didn't have to play him in the end, but I did have to use a couple of my emergencies in there with Schuster being going down. I actually didn't decide to have him on the interchange, which didn't matter in the end because I had Madison on there as my edge cover, which was fine. But 964 and led by Brayley there, 39, and my three there with Pat Watson Harris is great. Lucy Leilua, 61, but unfortunately, it sounds like he's going to be taking an early guilty plea and missing this week when I really need him. Thanks, mate. Appreciate it. No Schuster means Madison came in as cover, who didn't go that well either. I then had Alvaro, who I decided to loop. Once I found out that Starling was going to be on the bench, I decided to loop Alvaro and take the 39 rather than knowing Starling was probably going to play 20 minutes off the bench, for example. Got the Alvaro move, and then also when Schuster was out, I ended up getting Lane Hughes 28. So not ideal on that front, but obviously we keep going down the squad, and we've got Foggs there with 30. Had a pretty bad sin bin. I said Wade Graham passed the ball about 1.5 meters forward just to pass it into Foggs and get him sin bins. He wasn't very happy about it, and fair enough. He was just trying to get back on side. So they could have. Where's he going to run? Really, like if he runs there and they go down the short side, yeah, he can get the sin bin. But if he ran on the other side, then they could have just gone to the long side and scored that way, or got sin bin that. You could pass it into him that way. So when you're trying to get back on side and obviously help your team defend, yes, maybe he knew what he was doing, but as a ref, can you judge on that? I don't know. But yeah, so him there with that. Opacek getting 19 with his last score of the year wasn't ideal at all. But having Manu as cover to hold the fort for the team was really good. And I obviously don't have Averillo, so having Manu in there this week really sort of leveled that out and really stopped me from losing too many ranks. Like I actually gained maybe 30 ranks this week, and I'm just ahead of the people's squad, which is great. So I'm sitting there with one extra trade too, so happy days. But yeah, so those kind of Lucy, Manu, I suppose Watson, a few people have traded him out. Having Laurie and Dewey, for example, as well, was really important there. And there's only 12% of people that have Hines, so there's a few guys that went my way in terms of their scoring, but then a few that didn't. And Roger was 37, was okay as well. So Madison sitting there with 38 is not exactly what you wanted, but obviously you had him and Pat get sin binned. I had Foggs get sin binned as well. Opacek with his lowest score of the year. Roger on the wing, and had to loop and use Alvaro and Laney. So sitting there with Starling, who I hoped to bring in an average 50 plus, and he got a 31 and a 17, which is terrible. So to be sitting here where I am right now, I'm really, to be fair, like pretty happy with it. I can't really complain. And if we're looking on to next week, I believe I've got 12 players, and that's with Leilua out too, so I didn't even count him. So Brayley, Paps, Watson for 3, and you got Foggs 4, Oppa 5, Hines 6. Then we got Laurie 7, Dewey 8, Madison 9, Alvaro 10, Laneu 11, and Stefano 12. And that's, so not including Lucy. So obviously there's a few sort of bench forwards in that, but hopefully they get a slightly bigger role and can get me a 30-40 kind of score there. And then you look at the other guys I've got, and Hines should score well, Opera should be normal, Foggs is a dominant half, which should do well, and you got Pat, Watson, and Brayley. Laurie and Dewey and Madison should all be scoring pretty well. So only really 3 guys that shouldn't be scoring too greatly. But other than that, like having 12 players, and at worst maybe just trading out a Starling. Like I'm looking at potentially a Starling to like a Jack Bird I could do, for example, as like a really easy straight swap. We got 564k. So I could do Starling to Bird, for example, and that would give me centre cover going forward as well, which is going to be pretty helpful. For someone that I think is going to average somewhere in the mid-40s and be a keeper in the centres, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Opacek. Maybe he only does okay for the next few weeks, or maybe these 19s are start to become a norm from him. We don't know. He's had a really outstanding start to the year, but we're not sure if he's going to continue doing that or if he stops that. And having Bird and Amanu is really, really safe there. I could trade Opacek out in round 17, for example. So yeah, that's kind of the thoughts I'm going with bringing in a Jack Bird. Obviously, it's probably a small chance that he plays Origin in 17, but also the fact that they have a bias, that's not really going to matter anyway. So that's something to think about for my own team in terms of the trades. Yeah, so where are you guys at in terms of your people playing this week? And yes, the most important part is the actual type of players you got. Are you sitting there with a bunch of forwards like this, a Tyson Gamble, that type of group, or are you sitting there with a lot of guys like McCulloch and the Papali'i and the Madison and the Jerome Hughes? Are you sitting with those type of really strong guys? Because if you are, you don't need as many players. Someone could be like, oh, I've got 13 players, and you're like, shit, I'm sitting there with 10 or 11, but you might have the better, more high quality 50 plus scorers, whereas they might have just a collection of guys like me. And there's probably a little bit of unluckiness in everyone's team in terms of injuries and suspensions and stuff like that. I'd be sitting there with 13 pre-trades, which is pretty good. But yeah, that's just something to think about. And we'll jump in and have a look at the alternatives. I don't even want to look at it, but a team where obviously I had 17 and I was just going to hold steady and play the 17 there. And then I lose Walker, Schuster, and Kurt Mann. And by the time I looked at it for Kurt Mann and Schuster, was kind of a bit too late to make a trade that wasn't really going to help anyone. Like, I don't think it was going to help the team long term, but thank goodness that a lot of my players actually had pretty good weeks, and I had captain Fafita with 79, which was great. Strong through the mids. Pangai was fine. Bird and Avrillo good. Teddy, Laurie, and To'o as well were pretty solid. So and McCulloch there on the bench. But to only have what I have playing 14 players and didn't really lose any rankings. So the only good thing here is I have 20 trades and still have a lot of people playing this week. So Brayley Watson 12, Pap 4, Pangai 5, Moses and Kurt Mann maybe. We'll say 7, Bird 8, Laurie 9. We miss To'o unfortunately, but McCulloch 10, 11 with Lanu, 12 with Peachy, possible Simkin 13, and a possible 14 with Gamble. So it might be I've got pretty well a full squad or close to it. Question will be like, do I make a couple of trades and bring in some guys for this week to try and really dominate and bring my overall rank down heaps, and then really trade heavy through the next sort of 5 rounds and try to smash 17 as well. So that could be an interesting strategy to try and do really well in 13 and 17 with all these extra trades and see if that's a strategy that can work. I think that's probably the experiment that I'm going to make with this team now, is just sit it at where I'm at right now at 18,000. Jesus, that's bad. 18,000, and then see where I end up come around 18, 19, and if I've got a bunch of trades left if I can do well. So I think that's going to be the experiment from here on in. As I said, we just keep changing it and keep working out as we go. But yeah, they're the 2 teams at the moment, guys. Obviously, my main one, the most important one, is sitting okay. I'm happy where I'm at with 18 trades. Probably looking to make 1, maybe 2 trades max this week, and trade heavy through the next little period and bring a couple of those guns in that are going to do well. And guys, if you're liking these videos, please hit like and subscribe. Really appreciates me. I really appreciate it. It really helps me build this channel out and get to more people and help a lot more people get good at fantasy and obviously beat you would be the goal. But there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Catch you in the next one. Bye bye.